Okay. All right. Welcome everyone to the February 27th, 2025 Land Ambulance or EMS meeting. The meeting's live streamed and recorded. And this time I'd like to acknowledge we're on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people under the Robinson-Huron Treaty of 1850 and the waterways traveled by the Métis of this region. Are there any additions to the agenda? No? Okay. Can I have a mover and seconder for the agenda? Anne and Scott, the February 27th, 2025 Parry Sound District Emergency Medical Services Committee meeting agenda be approved. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Mover and seconder for the minutes. Joel and Scott. That the minutes of the October 24th, 2024 meeting of the Parry Sound District Emergency Medical Services Committee be approved as circulated. Any discussion or comments on the minutes? No? All in favor then?
Yep.
It's carried. Okay. Then we can see Pearl now.
Thank you. Keeps knocking me out, sorry.
It's okay. Correspondence, Dave?
Certainly. One item, I do want to mention another thing. It's not on the list though, but the one item we did receive was a email from the fire chief in Whitestone requesting a surplus ambulance. So there is a policy in place with regards to disposal of the ambulances, and first priority do go to municipal tiered response agencies. I've had no other requests, so as we have a suitable ambulance coming up, we'll just be disposing of it as per the policy to Whitestone. So that'll be my course of action. I would like to also note that we did receive some communication from Brooks Falls clerk that John Wilson has resigned as being a councillor. So he's this committee, of course, he was appointed to by the Southeast municipalities, and so John Wilson's no longer on the EMS committee anymore, the advisory committee. They are endeavoring to find a new person to appoint amongst those. I believe there's 7 municipalities that share a appointee there. So hopefully by our next meeting, we will have a representative for the Southeast.
Okay, good. Okay, your report.
Yes, so this is mainly cleaning up issues from last year. So you'll see that we have it appears that right now this is unaudited. We're looking at about a $350,000 surplus. So that is one of our larger surpluses, but we have had surpluses in the range of $300,000 before. So that's good news. The Burks Falls base is coming along. The architect is working on preparing documents to release for tender now. They've been working closely with Matt in getting everything organized so that they'll be able to move through the process come spring in terms of construction. We're expecting that project to be finished by late summer. Henvey Inlet First Nation, we've submitted a business case for a bonded service in Henvey Inlet. MOH has provided us with no timeline on when they will be providing any answer to us. All they advised was that they'd be reviewing the document. The community paramedicine long-term care, this will always be an item on the director's report. We are starting our last year of funding in April 1st. There has been no discussion or message from the ministry yet on what's going to happen after that. There is lots of feedback on how effective the program is across the entire province. I think there's a move to try to standardize the services that are provided. We're in a pretty good place. Tom, our supervisor who looks after community paramedicine, has aligned with the other services in our area on the types of things that the types of clinical activities they do. So it's what we're doing is very similar to what North Bay and Muskoka are doing for their residents. So I'm expecting that there will be a more standardized approach as the new program gets rolled out, but I would suspect that this program will continue on. It is well received by the public for sure, and it seems to be well received by the healthcare partners. Matt, would you like to add anything to that in terms of talks you've had with Tom Smith recently?
Not much to add, Dave. I think kind of what you said, that we're more aligned now with what our neighbors are doing. We're always looking to sort of fill the gaps that exist within our communities, particularly with people that are unattached to physicians or primary healthcare. One piece of data we are tracking is the number of 911 deferrals that CP is kind of intercepting for us. So these would be very low acuity episodic type issues that clients might be having. And I believe last month it was 80 calls CP was able to defer from EMS.
Jerry, I would just note that Shelley has come online now too for your
I
minutes.
see that. Yep.
And Matt, while you're speaking, why don't you talk about the rollout of the defibrillators? We got the purchase all completed, but Matt's more in tune with the actual rollout to get them in the field. So maybe you can update everyone on that.
Absolutely. The new defibrillators were delivered about mid-January. They were deployed throughout our district about 3 weeks ago now. So it took us a little time while the vendor had a train the trainer from Florida come up, and it just provided us with a bit of an update on the new models. Defibrillators are quite similar. He described it as like a new iPhone. So internally they have they're much more robust than what we're used to. So they're deployed, they're being used, and yeah, we're working great.
Thanks, Matt. That's it for the director's report, Mr. Chairperson.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from anyone for Ann?
Just a question on the surplus. What happens to it? Do you just roll it over, or can we spend it?
So the surplus, so again, the funding for the service generally is a 50-50 split between ministry funding and municipal funding. So the municipal portion will roll into our reserves for capital purposes to help supplement those. The ministry will claw back their portion through the auditing. So that 350 turns into 175 per organization. Generally, that's not exactly correct, but that's pretty close. And the ministry will claw back theirs through the financial processes, and we will roll ours into reserves.
For capital?
Yeah.
Yes, for reserves for capital purchases.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll help
Okay.
buy new equipment or an ambulance or something. Yeah.
And I guess the other question is on the community paramedicine thing, do we need to do any lobbying or pushing to make sure it does continue? Because I've heard wonderful things and wonderful results, and I'd hate to see a new minister or something say, we don't need to do this anymore.
So, Matt, you've been to the recent, I think, symposiums. What was the general mood at those symposiums?
I think everybody's optimistic that this funding will become permanent at some point, but there's been no indication from the provincial government that's going to happen. They keep saying they're looking into it. So if you certainly would like to lobby our MPP, that would be greatly appreciated.
Might be worthwhile to, after tonight, just remind the new government that this is a very valuable program in paramedicine, and that we would like to see it continue, and we'll put that out to AMO and some of the other organizations as well. It's just a kind of a placeholder reminder that this is important to us, and we hope that they want to continue that service.
Through you, Mr. Chairperson, I think just direction from the committee to myself for our May meeting, I think it might be prudent then to have a report come forward with such a resolution, and it can go from the committee to town council and then out to all the rest of the municipalities, hopefully for support. So I can prepare something like that for your consideration for the May meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest. Resolutions from all the municipalities would be the most powerful way to do it. So that's great.
So you're moving that in?
Sure, I guess
The
so.
direct, the
Well,
direction?
well,
I'm
we were just
seconding
referring it back to staff, really, to
Yeah.
Dave to come back with a report in May.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so for Sherry's benefit, Sherry, there would just be direction in the minutes that Dave prepare a report and resolution with regards to community paramedicine funding for the May meeting.
Okay. And everybody's good with that?
Yep.
Yes.
Good.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions for Dave or Matt? No? Okay. I need a mover and seconder for the report. Pearl, and we'll get Shelley in there too. Okay, that the Emergency Services Director's report dated February 27th, 2025 be accepted as submitted. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Reports.
So the reports are there for your perusal. That's for the full year of 2024. I didn't bother to include the 1 month that I had available to me for January. It's too short of a snapshot in time to glean anything from. The one thing I would note is in the reports, and I had mentioned this at the last meeting, was last year, 2024, our response time for sudden cardiac arrest was quite a long ways off the target of 30%. It ended the year, excuse me, it ended the year at 17% of the calls we were meeting our 6-minute target time. That's for sudden cardiac arrest, that's a target time that's actually set by the ministry. We have typically met or have been very close to the 30% target that is set. So hopefully this is an aberration. We'll take a look at it and see. Again, due to our population that is quite widespread, that's a difficult target to meet. But it bears watching, and we will do that and continue to report on that. Other than that, the call volume is up slightly in 2024 over 2023, and everything else is online. So happy to answer any questions with regards to the reports.
Any questions? No? Okay, mover and seconder to receive the reports. Joel and Scott, that the EMS committee members have received reports 6.1, 6.2, 6.3 as listed above. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Other business. 8.1.
8.1. So we prepared this report specifically because John Wilson had been asking a few questions about how the other services, what kind of type of volume they were responding into our area for. So we'd actually prepared this report for John, but we thought it would be useful for everyone's information. That's why it's on the agenda. And I mean, when it comes down to the numbers, we have other services who enter into Parry Sound to do emergency responses slightly more than we respond into other areas. So for every 6 calls that we respond into other areas, other services respond about 7 times into our area. It's a relatively close balance overall. Now, the major discrepancies would be with Sudbury Manitoulin coming into Parry Sound District occurs significantly on the 400 corridor to the north, specifically the area of Henvey Inlet and 522 area. And then we do significantly more calls for Nipissing in the northeast region than Nipissing does for us. Nipissing is the first response into Calendar. We do more first response into Chisholm and Algonquin Park, where the main difference occurs is how many times we get tied up in the city of North Bay as we're going in and out of the North Bay Hospital. So that does create a higher demand on us than on Nipissing in that area. Overall, our balance is in our favor, but that's the one area where we're providing more than receiving.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Any questions on that? No? Mover and seconder then received the report, Pearl and Shelley, that the EMS Advisory Committee has accepted the report for information purposes. All in favor? That's carried. 8.2, South River EMS base.
Mr. Chairperson, this is the renewal of the South River EMS base. It is the central base on the east side of the district. It's the largest base on the east side of the district as well. It's owned by half and half by South River and Makar. We have always been in this building from the time of the amalgamation of the services. There is a significant increase in the lease this particular year. However, that's simply because it was extremely undervalued by the municipalities prior to this. So the CAO clerk for South River and I have worked out a method of moving up the value to something that's similar to the rest of our bases that we have for rent. It's still extremely reasonable. So we're talking at a maximum $1,000 a month for a significantly large base. They're not trying to get rich off of this, and I'm quite comfortable with this increase and being able to manage the increase in the budget. This is a very small amount, quite frankly, in the overall value of the lease of all our bases. So I'm recommending that we move forward with it. The municipality, South River and Makar, are excellent partners. The base is well situated. I think in the mid to long term, we will actually have to be looking at a addition onto this base. Right now, we're running a significant number of resources out of this particular base, and it's I wouldn't say bursting at the seams. Matt might say it's bursting at the seams, but I would say that it's full. Most definitely, it's a full base, and as the service increases and our call volumes increase, this area would be probably where we would be looking at putting an additional ambulance in the future, which would mean we'd have to have more space for an additional crew there eventually. That would be in I think we're talking probably 10 years out for another crew, but we do need to consider it with our UHU in that area is getting closer to the 40% target that we aim for.
Okay. All right. Any questions on this? No? Okay. Mover and seconder, Scott and Ann, that the EMS Advisory Committee recommend to the Town of Parry Sound Council approve and renew the South River EMS base lease. All in favor?
I'll just refrain from voting for that one.
Okay. All right. It's carried. Mover and seconder, I guess that's pretty much it, eh?
Through you, Mr. Chairperson, that's what I have for this particular meeting. We've moved through it pretty quick.
Yep, we get Pearl back to work there, counting votes.
I had a little break. I'm glad I could come on. Thank
Well,
you.
unless you want us to drag this out a little bit, you know. Okay, I just need a mover and seconder to adjourn then.
I can do that.
Pearl and Joel. Okay.